Welcome back to American Wing Chun. I'm Sifu Matt, and on this video we'll be explaining Chi-Sau. Chi-Sau is a quality of movement. It's a skill that we have in Wing Chun. There's various drills that we have that we use to learn Chi-Sau. Chi-Sau means to stick with your hands, but it's not just sticking with your hands, it's your whole body that eventually gets this quality of movement. So being able to turn your arms into springs when something gets compressed, it has pressure so it can push back and launch forward once the spring has been released. And so you're wanting to turn your body into a spring that way. So there's various drills that we have to learn how to attain this quality of movement. One drill is this Poon-Sau exercise, where you're rolling back and forth with a partner, which you'll see in this video. Another exercise from Poon-Sau is what we call Woon-Sau, which is switching hands or changing hands. You're changing sides with the roll, whether you're on this side or you're on this side, and how to switch sides with rolling with both hands, so you're ambidextrous. You can do the same thing you do on one side, you can do on the other side. So that's Woon-Sau. And then something called Kuo-Sau. Other people call it Gore-Sau, but Kuo-Sau is what we call, it's crossing arms, but people refer to it as fighting practice. It's kind of like sparring with your Chi-Sau. And there's basic Kuo-Sau that we have for student grade 5. You have a palm strike, you have a punch over their Tan-Sau, and then you have a Backfist, which they can defend. And there's different ways to have combinations of those certain techniques that you can randomly mix that together. And it turns into a good practice to deal with different directions of force, different techniques that they're attacking you with, how to counter those attacks, how to defend those attacks, how to apply those attacks onto somebody else. So that's a really good drill as well. As well as, to start with, we'll show this drill where both arms are out, and you learn about forward pressure. So they'll push on your fist, and you keep this spring-like pressure with your arms, and you'll see that drill as well. That's a good way to start so you can understand what pressure is. So enjoy the video. So the first exercise for learning how to stick and do Chi-Sau and to develop your forward pressure is this thing that we do, where the person has both their hands out in fists, and the training partner puts their hands on their fists and they press forward. And the goal is to turn your arms into springs. So he's got pressure against my hand, so if I let go, it snaps forward. If I push on it, it retracts, but it's got pressure the whole time. And I can push the other hand, I can let go of that one, or the other one, or both of them. And if I push, and there's nothing there, he's not relying on his eyesight. He's trying to rely on his sensitivity of his pressure, so his arms get very spring-like. He's not pushing hard against me. If you push hard now, like it's pushing me backwards, that's too much pressure. You don't want to fight force with force. You want to let it go, but it maintains the spring-like quality where you have pressure forward towards me. So it's like a spring. It gets compressed, but it's constantly keeping pressure against it. And this is very difficult, especially if I let go of this one, or that one, or both of them. Yeah, so that's the first exercise, to just maintain this constant sticky kind of pressure. You're also going up a little bit high. Try to keep it more level. There you go. Yeah. Almost. Relax that a little bit more. There you go. It's supposed to be very soft. And then you get into a habit of a pattern where it's the same thing. There you go. So even though your eyes are open, you're not relying on your eyesight to feel this. It's just the natural spring-like quality of your arms. So that's the first exercise for developing pressure. So you want to train that a lot. And then the next exercise will make more sense. So the next exercise that people more commonly understand as Chi-Sau is actually called Poon-Sau, which means rolling arms, where you make contact either on the outside with both hands, the inside with both hands, one hand inside, one hand outside, and then you're doing these different shapes that we have in the Wing Chun system, whether it's a Tan-Sau or a Bong-Sau or a Fook-Sau with that hand. My hand's in a Fook-Sau, he's in Bong-Sau, he's in Fook-Sau, I'm in Bong-Sau. One hand's staying Fook-Sau the whole time, the other hand's changing from Bong to Tan. Poon-Sau means rolling arms. And the important thing here is the pressure and staying soft. So just like the other exercise where the arms are springy, this wants to be springy as well. The first thing that you can do is practice alternating who's pushing. So you have one active hand and one passive hand. He pushes me to Tan-Sau, and then I can push him to Bong-Sau, and then back to Tan-Sau, and then it's his turn. I'm passive, he's active. Now I'm active, he's passive. He's not forced, yeah, you can push me again. I'm not going to Bong-Sau myself. He's pushing me to Bong-Sau. Then he can push me back to Tan-Sau. I didn't just go to Tan-Sau. His pressure pushed me to Tan-Sau. My pressure pushes him to Bong-Sau. I'm passive while he's active, and I'm active while he's passive. So you can do that one at a time just to get the feel for how those movements work. Then the next thing you can do is do that simultaneously, where as I push him, he's pushing me, and now's the traditional roll that you always see people do. And the direction of force for each of these arms, people misunderstand what forward pressure is. Yes, it's forward, but it doesn't mean you're going to his vertical midline. You're not always going here. My Tan-Sau is actually going towards his shoulder area. His Fook-Sau, to make me go to Tan-Sau, is pushing towards my shoulder area. You actually have 180-degree opposite pressure. Meaning he's pushing this direction, I'm pushing exactly the same direction as him, so our forces go into each other straight in, and you don't have something pushing sideways while they're pushing this way. In that case, you'd be sliding on each other. You want to have like a wall you're pushing against. His elbow, you keep your body square, his elbow's slightly in, my elbow and forearm is inside his arm, but his elbow is inside my arm, but his wrist is outside my arm. That's complicated. And then from here, he's pushing as if he's trying to punch me in the pec. That's kind of the direction his force wants to go in. And then from there, from that direction of his force, he then keeps that forward inside the silhouette of my body. If it went outside my body, I'd go forward and hit him. But as he pushes forward back to my center, that is what makes me form a Bong-Sau, and you stay in your Fook-Sau position. And if there's any downward force, you get to roll around. You have to keep the force forward 180 degrees opposite of theirs the whole time. So right now I'm pushing to his center because he's pushing to mine. As he pushes me back to Tan-Sau, we're pushing towards each other along our bodies until it gets me to flip to Tan-Sau, and then we're just maintaining this alignment on this side. And then as he starts pushing me back, it's staying forward all the way across to my center, making me go to Bong-Sau. If it's pressing down, I'm going to do other stuff. If he goes past my center, my hand will go straight through. So Bong-Sau is going down the center with your wrist, down the middle of both of us. As I go to Tan-Sau, he's pushing me across. He's pushing me across to make me go to Tan-Sau. If that presses down, I can roll around it. If it's pressing down, it's not forward inside my silhouette. It's going down to this space that I don't have to defend. He has to press towards me. Yeah. And then I'm doing the same thing on the other side. I'm pressing to his center to make him go to Bong-Sau, and I keep that pressure forward all the way here to make him go to Tan. If I go past that, I become open. I go to the center to make him go to Bong-Sau. If I go past that, I become open there. And this just flows back and forth. I don't want to force my Bong and Tan across. That should be passive. He's the one doing that. But the pressure is constantly forward inside their silhouette. If the pressure goes outside, he gets to slide in and do something. Or if he goes this direction, he gets to slide that way. It has to stay inside the body. Anything that goes down makes me open. Anything that goes up makes me open. Anything that goes to the side makes me open. Anything that goes this side, you're open. You have to stay inside the silhouette, inside their body with your arms, with your pressure. But the force stays forward towards them. Not, if I'm in Tan-Sau and I try to point at his center and press to his center, I'm actually open. I can't drill this way with my Tan-Sau. He'll be able to wedge that out and hit me. I have to keep my pressure towards his on the outside of my arm, in line with the shoulder. The Bong-Sau, if he's pressing towards that shoulder, then he's sliding, he gets hit. If he presses that way, then he's moving my arm to the side and I get to go forward down the center here. So everything's always pushing as if we're pushing into each other, and it doesn't matter what direction it is, his pressure is always pushing back into mine. If there's any downward force, then he becomes open. You don't stick to things that are not a threat to you. So if it's on the outside of your body, you can go from here, it's inside. The moment it's outside, then I can spring back to the center to hit him. But I have to maintain this wall of pressure all the way across so that it keeps me covered like a force field. Like there's a shield in front of me all the way across, and then all the way across. You want to keep a good stance there. There you go. And it just goes back and forth. Boom, boom. And if I release something, it should spring forward. And if I release that, it should go forward. If I release this, yeah. And try to stay back. It's only your arms, don't push with your body. If this is happening, you just jut my hands down and just pull me in. You don't want to do that. I want to stay back with this. From here, we have a lot of different exercises we can do from the roll itself in the context of the roll. From the Tan-Sau position, I can turn it forward and give a palm strike towards his chin, in which case he has to do a Jum-Sau, you don't have to turn though. Just keep that forward as if it's punching me. You only have to turn if I step. I get close enough where I can reach you with it. If I can't reach you, there's no reason to turn. My force, turning is passive again. My force is what would make you turn and get off line of that. And then you could guat to get back in and all those things. Same thing with the punch on this arm. If I punch here, you absorb with the Tan-Sau. The wrist sticks to it, the elbow stays forward, and I cannot get inside that space. And if I continue my failed attack, I now get hit. I'm now outside your silhouette. If I force my Tan-Sau this way, then you can start doing a stance turn. And now you're in that position using this Tan-Sau from Sin of Tao. Now it's just from the side. If you give me that punch here, I can turn and be this way. Unless if you punch me again, I can stick with that. My elbow presses forward. I don't want to try to wedge with my Tan-Sau. If he punches and I'm wedging, he could also wedge into me at the same time. Two things that are sliding. Sliding is attack and offense, sticking is defense. I only want to stick to things that I need to defend. And if it's not something I need to defend, I don't have to stick to it, I can just punch through. But if he's starting to slide on me, I need to not let it slide and stick to it. Yeah. So if I just stayed here, it's starting to get inside and now it can actually reach me. I need to be turned already by the time that's happened. Then I can palm back in. And these things can kind of cycle. You can give me this palm or this punch here. I can tan and I can palm. And then if I step in, you would have to turn. That starts to turn into things that look like Chi-Sau sections. From the his tan position, I can punch him, make him have to do his tan. You only turn as a last effort to get out of the way of something. So this is dealing with it with the hand. So it's hands before the body. Hands deal with it, and if that's all you need, I can't reach any further, then you don't have to turn. It would be a wasted movement to do a turn. It'd take too long. But if it goes in, maybe I step and turn with you, then he has to turn to get out of the way of it. But even there, his pressure is going towards me. And if my pressure is going that way, there's nothing stopping him pressure-wise 180 degrees opposite to keep him from hitting me. He would just slide in and punch. So I have to keep my pressure inside his silhouette. Right now it's outside his silhouette, I get hit. So I keep it inside the whole time. That keeps me safe. It's hard to see that on camera. You have to kind of feel the direction that these forces are going. The shape doesn't really show the direction of force. They kind of push to the side a little bit. In the Jum-Sau, people misunderstand this a lot. So if I palm to his center, let's say I palm to his chest, there's nothing stopping him from punching me right now. He can just wedge that out. I need to actually palm with my heel of my palm to his chin to have some height on my forearm. So I have, my palm is on the center, going kind of high, so there's some height to my arm. There's width to my arm. My elbow's in line with my shoulder. My wrist is on the center, so there's width here. There's height, and there's now the length of the attack going through, so that's like a three-dimensional movement. And it keeps him at bay. If I palm too low, that lets him in. So that's how if that goes down, then I can roll around it. That's how the palm works, to keep him at bay. Then he can just push me to Bong-Sau from there, and then we're back to the roll from that position. And you push down a lot with your Fook-Sau. A lot of people do that. So the palm comes in this way. If he was to give me a palm strike, let's move that out of the way so you can see. push that towards me. And then if you palm low, I get to punch you. Palm with the heel of your palm to my chin. My Jum-Sau has to stay forward with that elbow being in. If my elbow's in but my wrist is out, I'm open high. So now there's this opening high. If my elbow's out but my wrist is in, now there's this opening low. So if he palms at me and I go here, he can actually hit me low. You want to have your forearm, like in Sin-Tao when you do the Jum-Sau, or this Jum-Sau, you want to have your forearm perpendicular to your shoulders. If this is offline, you're open low. If the wrist is offline, you're open high. Having it directly perpendicular to your shoulders, kind of on your ear line, it creates this whole coverage all the way through and they can't get inside it. So sinking that elbow in does not mean sinking the wrist. So Jum-Sau meaning sinking arm does not mean push their hand down with your hand. It means he's palming towards me and I sink my elbow in onto this line. If he was to step with this, then I can turn maintaining that, and then this would have to go to Bong-Sau because it has that kind of pressure. My pressure is still going towards him. If you go back where your palm was and that elbow's down, this becomes open. So that turns into Bong-Sau. And we have opposite pressures again. And you go back to your stance. Yep. And then if you palm with that again, yeah. So that going towards my chin, this is how you keep that covered. And I can push you to Bong-Sau and back. So the Jum-Sau is like I'm trying to punch him in the pec. It's just that his height of his arm is keeping me at bay. If he was palming low, then yes, I could get in there with that and I can step in or even turn with it. So all these little details on how these different pieces work. I palm, he jumps, but if he pushes down with the jump, he gets hit. Any downward pressure causes openings. Don't push down, push parallel to the floor as much as you can. If they're slightly taller than you, there's a slightly upward angle of your pressure, actually. If they're slightly shorter, there's a downward-ish pressure, but it's not to the floor, it's still inside their silhouette, even if you're pressing down. So for example, if I pock that, and I'm pushing on his Bong-Sau low, and he turns, this pressure is still going into his silhouette and into his body. It's not pushing to the floor, because you can feel that wants to hit, especially on this side. If I push down, I get hit. You have to keep it inside your silhouette. Yeah. We have all these different Chi-Sau sections to defend certain different kinds of pressure, different possibilities of configurations of where the arms are, whether I'm on the outside of his arm or the inside of his arm with my left hand or my right hand. He has to feel this pressure or this pressure or this pressure or this pressure, and also left and right directions, but also low pressure and high pressure. It sounds like weather now. Lots of different attacks that you do from the context of the Poon-Sau roll itself. And then you can also be where both hands are on the outside, where you're both in, I have both my hands in Fook-Sau. He has one hand in Tan-Sau, one hand in Bong-Sau at the same time. And we have this saying that two Bong-Saus is wrong, because you don't go this way. Doesn't make sense. One hand's Bong, one hand's Tan. And so if it was two Bongs is wrong, then also two Tans is wrong. You don't go that way. Although there are things that you can do where you punch with both, where you have to do Tan-Saus with both hands, and then you can give me double palm strikes going in, or punches as well. Kind of like seventh section. But all of these pressures are still 180 degrees opposite of his pressure. If I push forward, but not enough to make you go out to the side, like it's in that direction towards the shoulder, a little bit outside will make him do this. There's that limit of how far to go. If he goes too soon, he becomes open. And that's a difficult thing to fine-tune your pressure to maintain that line against their pressure the whole time. Yeah, and then if it goes in, your pressure kind of went that way, I get to wedge you out. So Poon-Sau is this roll. We have another exercise called Woon-Sau, meaning changing hands, which is this thing, where you're constantly circling around each individual arm. And the whole way through this is a very difficult drill. Right now the pressure's lateral, and now it's diagonal, and now it's vertical, and he rolls around. The whole way around this 360-degree circle we're spinning on with our hands, we have that 180-degree opposite pressure the whole time. That's what makes this so difficult. So whenever there's an opening, you have to go inside. So there's a little bit of forwardness, but as I'm pushing down, he has to be pushing up. As I'm pushing to the side, he's pushing in. As I'm pushing in, he's pushing out. All the way around this, which is very reminiscent of the Chi one with the long pull. But how to change sides on the roll itself, the Woon-Sau is kind of how you do that. If he's in Bong-Sau, as I push him to Tan-Sau, I can do that and do a Hyun around his arm, and now he's on the outside. So as this goes to Tan, I go around it, then he pushes with his Fook-Sau, we're back in the roll. Or if I'm in Bong-Sau and Tan-Sau, so my Bong-Sau and Tan-Sau hand on the inside, as I'm going towards Tan-Sau, can Hyun underneath and push back to Bong-Sau. So that's how you switch sides on the inside hand. As I go to Tan-Sau, I go underneath. My Fook-Sau hand on the outside is as I'm pushing him to Tan-Sau, I let it roll around. And technically, you can only do that if they have any kind of downward force. If, let's say, you try to Hyun-Sau underneath this, so my force is pushing down, you can actually roll around it. But if my force is going forward, any kind of downward movement you do will open you up. So that's what happens there. And same thing on this side. As I push you to the side and you try to roll on that, if I'm not pushing down, I'm going through this opening that he has as he tries to open that up. But if I had some downward pressure, now you can easily go with that because it's not a threat to him. You can change your hands as they're always not a threat because you're always going to this circle instead of forward. And then you have to deal with multiple vectors of force, so it's going forward too as it's circling. It's not so easy to do that. Chi-Sau is Chi-Sau technically is the skill we are developing. The drills that we have, this Poon-Sau, the Woon-Sau, those are difficult things to master, and it takes a long time and a lot of training to keep the pressures accurate and make sure that they're staying on. And you know, stick. There you go. And that the force doesn't go to the side. That is constantly keeping me at bay. Now I'm keeping you at bay. And anything that goes down off of that line, you take advantage of that. So that's basically what Chi-Sau is. We're turning our arms into springs, but it's not just the arms, it's the whole body. So if he was to push maybe here on my upper arm, he pushes through me, I want to stick to that and give way to his force so I can still hit. Maybe if he's pushing on my lower body here, he might try to strike in, I can turn my body here as well. So you're using your whole body in a soft kind of sticking way. And later on there's Chi-Gurk where the legs can do things as well. So your whole body becomes this sticky-like feeling. Wing Chun's really trying to use Chi-Sau as its martial art. You just have to cover the distance to get there to be able to do it. It takes a lot of training. You have to have good footwork for that. Lock that. Yep. And so there's a lot of different variations of movements and techniques that we have. Then another one is this Backfist thing, where I'm in he's pushing me to Bong-Sau, and don't push down too far. And I'm continuing that direction of motion so that I take my elbow tip, instead of this being the contact point, I let it roll to my elbow so that I can now pull my hand back to have this go. So I lose contact with that, so this can now hit. And then he would spring forward with a punch to wedge that out. If you come over with that elbow and then you hit here, yes. I don't step in, just do a stance turn to reach. There you go, then I punch through. If that's pushing down, I do that. Can you jut that down? Yeah, that goes too low. Difference between a jut and a Jum-Sau. Pushes too low, it makes you roll around it. All these different exercises and drills and attacks. And then if you're a little bit further away, then we have where we move in. And then if you defend that, you feel you go forward, and that contact will make you move and turn and be sensitive to these things. And then you can deal with those. Depending on what you feel. It's very good. Boom, 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 boom. If it goes too far, then you become open. So that's Chi-Sau in a nutshell. You're just sticking and feeling your way through these things. But if you're going backwards, that's not a proper Jum-Sau. Jum-Sau doesn't just do this. It stays forward towards them like you're trying to punch them. It's that elbow staying in. Let's say if you lop my arm to the side and you do that, my elbow wants to stay in. So if you were to punch with this hand, I'm automatically, every time I'm on the outside of his hand, and it's a parallel arm to mine, if you pull it out to the side again, I'm in a constant state of Jum-Sau. I'm going towards you like I'm trying to strike you, and my elbow's trying to come in, and anything that attacks, this takes care of. It's kind of like this part of Chum-Q. We do the Fook-Sau, that elbow comes in back to the center for that Fook-Sau, and you have the Chum-Sau there. So if you pull this arm to the side, my elbow's in, just like that part of the form, and if you continue in with that attack, it stays towards you. It's a constant threat to you. I'm in that constant state of jump, and then I can do whatever other opening I need to do to get into attack. So you're in a constant state of jump with that. Yeah, there you go. Now I can't get in. If I step and you turn offline, there you go. Then you have this. And there we are. Yeah, that's very good. So that's Chi-Sau.